Ironically, this clip was just supposed to be a clip of me being like peacefully reading on my sofa, but I've been rage baited by this book. So let me explain, let me go through my current read, and then we can hop into the whole making December TBR. I started doing like a 30 days of reading updates thing on my Instagram, so I've been providing these updates throughout, but I have not provided any updates in like a longer format, and I'm still trying to keep it succinct. So right now I'm reading the Truth According to Ember, which is by Donna Kanava. This is a romance book that follows our main character, Ember, who is half Chickasaw, and she is essentially trying to find a job. She's trying to break into just like stable office work, and she's having trouble doing that. And when she's thinking about all the reasons as to why, she comes up with it could either be due to the fact that did I say she's going to do accounting? She's trying to break into accounting, and she took some classes at her community college, but she couldn't finish because it was too expensive, and she ended up not having the money for it. So she never got like the full associate's degree. She just has the certificate, and she is essentially applying to jobs, and she can't even get interviews because, I mean, arguably she's not qualified. I feel like, and this is now an issue that I'm having like now that I'm thinking about it, she wasn't getting the interviews for the jobs because she wasn't technically fully qualified. Many of them were looking for the associate's degree where she only had the certificate. So that was one reason she believed she wasn't getting jobs. And then another reason she believed she wasn't getting jobs, or that could have been holding her back, was the fact that when she checked the race and ethnicity box, she indicated that she was Native, not white. So eventually she applies to a job with a doctored resume, and she only checks off her box for being white instead of Native, and she ends up getting a job, which is where our main male character, Danawu, I believe it's how it's pronounced. That's what it looks like on the page to me. And he is fully Native American. Like, he looks Native American. He has a Native American name. So anyway, our two main characters in this book are of Native descent. And even though she is half white, she's much more into her Native side. Like, she was born and raised with her aunt who's fully Native American, and she was raised either on or like just outside of the reservation. She still goes to a lot of events. Her best friend is Native American, so she's much more tapped into that side than her white side, which I think is like an important distinction to make given her character. And I really wanted to like this book, like truly, because it's the same way I feel about Black characters in films, TV, and literature. It's that we're only ever given so many stories and so many roles that we're able to get put into. And I feel like just straight up in literature, like modern day, you just don't see any Native American characters at all. And then when you do see them in literature, they're usually like in a historical context, or the story is tragic. Like, I get it, there's history, we need to tell accurate historical stories, but like, can we do things other than struggle? Please. So that's why I really was excited to see this book and why I really want to like this book. For me, it all falls apart in the fact that the plot that is described on the back of the book is not what's delivered in the text. And in addition to that, the subplots that are throughout the text are not very well executed. For example, and I'm towards the end of this book right now. I'm 89% of the way through. So, I mean, if you want to read it, I'd skip this. But we're just having this conversation with her aunt where all of her lives are falling apart. She got fired from her job. Her and Donald have broken up. Like, she's basically been scrapped down to kind of not nothing, but like all these things that have been going right for her over the past few months are all of a sudden been taken away. And so now she's back at her aunt's house. Her aunt who raised her, mom and dad are both out of the picture for her. And we have this quote: "Every time I go to the store or an event here," she's talking about closer to, I'm assuming, like the res, "there's always someone who likes to ask about mom or dad and bring up stories about the good old days." This has quite literally not once ever happened throughout the course of this story. The only person who's brought up her dad has been like family members. And it's just her aunt, and her brother. So it's been one of those three people who have brought up her father. And in terms of her mother, The only, like, I remember that her mom died, but like it never it never happened. There have been so many places in the story to insert that point, and for us to read about her feeling comfortable about it, or see her like get down in her feelings about it, and then like, but it just never happened. So that entire quote makes no sense to me. And then in like the same scene a couple of pages earlier, she's talking about how she came clean to her aunt. She's like, I lost my job and me and Donald broke up. And then her aunt's like, do you love him? And she's like, yeah. Not out loud. She's like, yes, deep down, I do love him. What? There's been no, like, there's been attraction. Sure, people have eyes. But there's been no, like, romantic, deeply building a connection moments in this book to me. We've hit tropes. We've hit so many tropes. And Donwoo is like a unflawed person. No flaws. He's smart. He is like financially stable. He takes care of his sister who has Down syndrome. He's just like Jamie Fraser, Outlander style. No flaws, except Jamie Fraser does have flaws. That's what makes him a good character. It's hard for me to get behind this book, and it's currently rage baiting me now as I finish it. But that's my rant about that. Anyway, it's December. Yeah, I'm really excited. I want to go through what my December TBR is. I actually haven't really decided on it. I have some books that over there that I need to read. I have some books that I've been tempted to reread recently, but they're mostly just like personal favorites. Hello, I finished my book. The pronunciation guide was at the end. His name was Danuwa. It is time for me to craft, not at the end of the month, but actually at the beginning of the month, my December TBR. This really will not be long. I do want to research, like just a little bit. I've never actually read a book set in and like around Christmas time. Hang on, I'm going to move this. There we go. Yeah, I've never read a book set within like Christmas time. So I'm going to try to like research and find a few and then see which one I can get for $0. But first, I do know the first book on my December TBR because I already started reading it and I had to pause it because I had library holds come through. What color shall I make my list? Blue? Okay, the book I have on pause right now that is going to be the first book on my TBR for December because I'm literally going to start reading it the next time I read books is Days at the Murasaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa. The ending got like a little botched there, but just pretend all of my handwriting is pretty. Okay, that's the first book. That book, why are all of my books about women whose lives fall apart? She ends up finding out that her longtime boyfriend, at least I think it was interim time, I think they were dating for at least a year, that he was, I feel like it's even worse than cheating, but he was with someone else when they met. So he was cheating on her, but she was also technically the other woman. Anyway. And he breaks up with her. Well, he doesn't even break up with her. Actually, he has more audacity than that. He meets with her and is like, hey, I'm getting married. And she's like, what do you mean you're getting married? You haven't proposed to me. But yeah, he has the audacity to be like, yeah, I'm getting married, but like we can still see each other. Yeah, so basically that happens. Sets off a whole chain reaction of events. She ends up quitting her job too because I worked at the same company. And so then she's trying to live in Tokyo, but obviously no money. Tokyo's expensive. And she ends up moving to live in the room above her uncle's bookshop, which is on this particular street that exists in real life that I can't remember, but it's just this street of old bookstores. I'm back. I have things. Okay. Where'd my marker go? Oh my God, I left the marker on the floor. New color. So I said that this month, December, I want to read at least one book off of my physical TBR this month. And for me, those options are either Love in the Big City, The Vegetarian, Butter, and Under the Midnight Sun. Okay, if I'm being realistic, the one that I was the most excited to get and read was this one, Love in the Big City. But I've had Butter for the longest. I've had this book almost a full year, and I haven't opened it. And then the second book that I've had the longest is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. Both of these books are kind of, at least from the reviews I heard, are like not fun. So that could be why I've been putting them off, but I also have heard that they're really good. So I think this month I'm going to go with Butter. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Butter this month. Let's read the blurb off the back if you haven't heard this book and want to know what it's about. So, the very top in the red print says there are 2 things I simply cannot tolerate: feminist and margarine. Okay. Gourmet cook Monoko Kaji sits in the Tokyo detention house convicted of the serial murders of lonely businessmen, whom she is said to have seduced with her delicious home cooking. The case has captured the nation's imagination. But Kaji refuses to speak with the press, entertaining no visitors, that is, until journalist Rika Mashida writes a letter asking for a recipe for beef stew, and Kaji cannot resist writing back. Rika, the only woman in her news office, works late each night, rarely cooking more than ramen. As visits unfold between her and the steely Kaji, they are closer to a master class in food than journalistic research. Rika hopes this gastronomic exchange will help her soften Kachi, but it seems that Rika might be the one changing. Do she and Kachi have more in common than she wants? Inspired by the real case of a convicted con woman and serial killer, the Hankatsu killer. Asako Yoshiki's Butter is a vivid, unsettling exploration of misogyny, obsession, romance, and the transgressive pleasures of food in Japan. So is this book going to make me hungry? Because I can't afford a flight to Japan right now. At least I couldn't as of this past Tuesday. Anyway, so I think this month's pick for my physical TBR is going to be Butter, and I'm just going to have to save these for later. If I were to read them like in order when I got them, then technically next month I should read The Vegetarian, and then I literally got the other 2 books at the exact same time. Okay, so book number 2, I'm going to erase the 2 because it's in a different color, is going to be Butter. Will I read these in this order? Possibly. Now we're in I want to reread this territory, and if not now, then when? And that book is Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I mean, she's basically my favorite author. There's only one book that she's written that I don't have, and I plan on rectifying that very soon. If you don't know what Everything Everything is about, there's a movie. Go watch the movie. But Everything Everything is about this girl who was diagnosed with a disease that essentially makes her kind of allergic to everything, and if she goes outside, then she dies. A cute boy moves in next door, and they start communicating through, it starts as like messages that they write because his bedroom ends up being the one that's facing hers. So they end up they first start by leaving messages in their windows, and then eventually it's like email, and then she wants to meet him in person. And it's really, yes, there's the romance, but what I really enjoy about this story is that it's really about a young woman taking control of her own life. And I first read this book, I feel like when the movie was coming out was when I read it. And I haven't read it in a while, and I want to read it now. So I'm going to reread this one this month. Actually, I don't think I've read 2 physical books in a month in like a while. But yes, we will be reading Everything. Okay, I cleaned. For the last part of my TBR, yes, my TBR is going to be 4 books because realistically, that's what I'm getting through. Actually, I might get through a little bit more, but I'd rather clear this and then just read more afterwards than to put 10 books up here and not get to 5 of them. The last thing that I am looking forward to add to my TBR today is a Christmas-themed book. Any genre. Should I look at Barnes & Noble or like Goodreads or something? Or Bloglist? Should I go Christmas or should I just go winter? I like winter, but I don't live in a wintry place and it makes me really mad. So I don't know if I want to go winter or like Christmas. Let's start with Christmas and then see like what else we can get into. Okay, I am seeing one that seems maybe interesting. It's called Last Christmas in Paris. Looks like it has two authors on it. Hazel Gaynor, Hazel Gaynor, and Heather Webb. I was very tempted to read like a mystery slash thriller set in the holidays, but I feel like Butter is gonna kind of have me handled on that front, so I'm gonna not. Okay, I'm back on the mic. Let me see if I put it there, if it picks up my voice. It sounds like it is, so we're gonna leave it there. Hopefully I'll have a microphone soon. Okay, Last Christmas in Paris, an unforgettably romantic novel that spans 4 Christmases. Last Christmas in Paris explores the ruins of war, the strength of love, and the enduring hope of Christmas season. August 1914. England is at war. As Evie Elliott watches her brother Will and his best friend Thomas Harding depart for the front, she believes, as everyone does, that it will be over by Christmas, when the trio plans to celebrate the holiday among the romantic cafes of Paris. But as history tells us, it all happened so differently. Evie and Thomas experience a very different war. Frustrated by life as a privileged young lady, Evie longs to play a greater part in the conflict, but how? And as Thomas struggles with the unimaginable realities of war, he also faces personal battles back home, where War Office regulations on press reporting cause trouble at his father's newspaper business. Through their letters, Evie and Thomas share their greatest hopes and fears, and grow ever fonder from afar. Can love flourish among the horrors of First World War, or will fate intervene? Maybe. Let's keep looking. I don't know. I know exactly what I'm looking for. That's like, maybe. I feel like I've heard of a book that has like a Groundhog Day like style of going the same day over and over again, but happens around Christmas time. And I cannot think of the title of the book right now to save my life. I wish I did, because I remember that one sounded interesting. Everyone is recommending to read A Christmas Carol, and I've been having. I go and I like try to read the classics, and it's just the style of writing gets my brain just worn down. And I don't know if I want to risk that again by reading Christmas Carol. Let's see if Barnes & Noble has a page. Should I go to Barnes & Noble? Okay, I'll look for like 2 more minutes, and then I'll come back when I have a deliberation. Actually, it didn't take that long. And I have it narrowed down to 2 options. I'm not necessarily going to pick which one I like better. I'm just going to read off the summaries for both of them, and then see which one is either in the library or on Libby, and then I will make my choice that way. Option 1 is, and I guess if you put bookshop in the name, I will read the book. Anyway, the first one is The Christmas Bookshop. Summary is as follows. Carmen feels lost. The department store where she has worked until now is closing, and now she doesn't know what to do. She certainly doesn't want to move back home to her perfect sister Sophia in her perfect house with the perfect children and the absolutely perfect life in Edinburgh. Sophia, honestly, doesn't want to welcome Carmen home either. Her sister has always been sarcastic and uncompromising. Oh, that's me. But Sophia is expecting again. The bookstore is out of hands, and their mother's greatest wish is for the 2 sisters to get along better with each other. Maybe she should give Carmen a chance. At Sophia's instigation, Carmen is soon swept into the daily grind of the old bookstore. However, it turns out that it'll take a true Christmas miracle to get back on track. Can Carmen surprise them all this Christmas? And can she mend the rift between the most important people in her life? Sounds interesting enough, and I can get it free. This one, The Christmas Dress. And I was kind of leaning a bit more towards this one for literally one reason, and that it's set in Chicago. No further comments. So, when hopeful fashionista Meg Juilliard must return to her hometown, Chicago, to manage her late father's apartment building. She thinks her dreams of making it in the fashion business are over. Girl, why? You're still in Chicago. Anyway, add in her father's eclectic roster of tenants who all needs Meg's attention ASAP. A host of the building-related disasters and a handsome handyman she keeps embarrassing herself in front of. This has all the makings for the worst Christmas she's ever had. Ellie Wade, one of the building's longtime residents, is also not feeling the Christmas joy this year. She's preparing to move into a nursing home reluctantly and is in the process of sorting through all of her belongings to downsize. Every corner of her apartment holds memories, some good, some bad. But there's one dress she hesitates to pack up, as it represents both the best and worst night of her life. Ellie and Meg strike up an unlikely friendship, and the story of Ellie's dress comes out. Ellie gifts the gorgeous dress to Meg, hoping it will bring her more luck, on the condition that she wears it to the building's Christmas party. The dress magically fits, and while eventually it leads to the best night of Meg's life, it also acts as inspiration for Meg to follow a lifelong dream of her own, a dream that will help save the crumbling Parkview West and restore it to its former glory, and to keep it as a safe home for all of the current tenants. The dress and the magic of the holiday season help both Meg and Ellie find their own happy ending. That one does sound a bit more intriguing, just to me. I am just going to go ahead and fill in my number 4 spot, because I have kind of decided, but if I want to, I'll still read the other one if I have time. But I liked the sound of this one better. And there we have it. My completed December TBR. We're going to start in Japan, okay? Days at the Morisaki bookshop. Then we're going to stay in Japan, okay? Butter. There's murder. There's food. I'm intrigued. After that, we're rereading everything, getting nice and just familiar and warm and happy for the holidays. Then the Christmas dress, and if I have time, I will read the Christmas bookshop. But that is going to round out my December TBR.